So it wasn't that long ago, we had a grand old time talking about Dave Rubin going on Jubilee and just absolutely getting obliterated by everybody. It was one of those 1v20 videos, and Rubin, I mean, it's just astonishing. He did zero preparation, doesn't know his ass from his elbow politically, on top of being incredibly boring and dumb and wrong. And, I mean, these liberals in that debate just slapped him around like nobody's business, and it was so bad that even other conservatives were unable to defend Dave Rubin, and they all acknowledged that he got obliterated. And then Rubin went out on his show, and he said, like, you know, I was really convinced that they were going to kill me. The people there, I looked in their eyes, and they wanted to kill me. They actually wanted to physically assault me, and I had my friend who was there with me told me that, like, I'm going to jump in and save your life if they do it. So embarrassing, so pathetic. But guys, what's happening is a lot of these right-wing shows, like Dave Rubin's show, they have declined massively, okay? The Trump wave is over. It's done. MAGA is destroyed. Their poll numbers have collapsed. Everybody hates Trump. His average approval rating is 36%. And so all of these little weasels who rode the Trump wave and momentum, who were out there just being Trump's foot soldiers, they have no appeal anymore. They don't believe in anything. They don't stand for anything. There's not a consistent worldview they're advocating for. The entire right-wing project has now imploded in their face. And so they're desperately trying to maintain relevance, and that's why Dave Rubin agreed to go do this Jubilee thing. But of course, he's the worst debater in the world, and so he fell apart and, you know, did further damage to his brand. Well, guess what? Tim Pool decided to sign up for the same sort of abuse. My guess is for the same reason. Tim has been bitching a lot on his own show lately about his numbers. He's sort of had a feud with Candace Owens, who's like sucking a lot of the air out of the right-wing space because she's got a slightly different brand than just MAGA dick riding. You know, she mixes in like conspiracy stuff with some pop culture stuff, and with right-leaning stuff, and like she's just like running laps around people like Tim Pool now. Like Ben Shapiro's fallen off, Tim Pool's fallen off, Steven Crowder's fallen off. You know, you have like basically Asmongold and Nick Fuentes and Candace are the ones who are popular on the right. So he's desperately trying to maintain relevance, decides he's going to go on Jubilee, and this thing was a shit show. So first of all, let me just say right up front, did I watch the whole thing? Absolutely not. I would rather take a cheese grater and aggressively rub it against my ball sack than listen to the entire thing with Tim Pool. I mean, that is like, it's literally torture. I'd rather be waterboarded at Guantanamo Bay than have to listen to Tim Pool for an extended period of time. But, so the first thing I wanted to point out is, look at the title of the video. Jubilee put, 1 moderate versus 20 progressives. Well, that is complete and utter horseshit. To call Tim Pool a moderate is disgusting and disrespectful. This guy's nowhere near moderate. Sometimes he describes himself that way, but it's nonsense. I mean, what, 80 to 90% of his show is like supporting Republicans, supporting Trump, and dumping on the woke people and the leftists and the progressives. So like moderate my ass cheeks, nonsense. The other thing is, people pointed out, see the thumbnail says Tim Pool versus 20 liberals, and then the title says 1 moderate versus 20 progressives. But one of the people who was there was like, actually, most of us were socialists there. So really, it's like 1 right-winger versus 20 socialists. So anyway, as many people pointed out, moderate, we're calling this guy a moderate. Here's a great example of how moderate Tim Pool is. This is what he said after, was it Renee Nicole Good or Alex Preddy? After one of them got shot by ICE and murdered, here was his reaction.
When these people come out and go, Tim's a bootlicker for defending us, I'm like, no, you misunderstand. It's my boots. It's mine. I voted for them. I'm wearing the boot. I'm stomping on the ground. I ain't licking anybody. I'm clapping for these people that I said, please go out and enforce the law. And anybody else who's cheering for it, who voted for it too, we're all wearing the boots. You're the one crying.
So when an innocent anti-ICE protester gets murdered and shot in the face, and people call him a bootlicker, he goes, no, it's my boot. I'm not the bootlicker. I'm the one wearing the boot. Let's not forget, there's also a guy who took a tremendous amount of money from, I believe it was called Tenet Media, run by Lauren Chen, and Lauren Chen was getting money directly from the Russian government. And so it was sort of like a front company of Russian government money. It went through the Tenet Media company to Tim Pool. Now, Tim Pool supposedly didn't know that that money was coming directly from Russia, but that's where you get clips where Tim Pool's saying shit like, Ukraine is our enemy. He was screaming, Ukraine is our enemy. You know, like, he's just a right-wing. He's just a right-winger, period, end of discussion, full stop. He just is. So there was already a scandal over calling him a moderate. It's insane that Jubilee would do that. I mean, it's the most lazy shit I've ever seen in my life. He's not by any stretch of the imagination a moderate. But now let's jump into it. So first, let's do this one where he's confronted about Trump making billions of dollars while in the White House, being the most corrupt president of all time. Here we go.
Why do you actively support a president who's made billions of dollars since he's taken office. Why do you support that as somebody who loved Bernie?
The simple answer is...
Oh my God. Oh my days. He does the Joe Rogan bit, right? Oh, I'm a lefty. I was a lefty. I was center left. I'm just a reasonable person. I supported Bernie and then I supported Trump. That's like saying, you know, I support puppies and rainbows, and I also support stage 4 cancer. That's what you're saying when I went from Bernie to Trump. Oh, so you had a brain and now you don't. That's great. Good to know. Anyway, let's get the answer.
Who loved Bernie?
The simple answer is the things that I align with, clearly you don't align with, and that puts me in a Trump position as opposed to a Democrat position.
What does that mean? What does any of that mean? Name a fucking policy. What are you talking about?
Sure.
You have a lot of politicians on the Democrat side who got behind authoritarian practices during COVID.
I know you're not mentioning authoritarian practices. When Donald Trump rounded up people for protesting the genocide and kicked him out of the fucking country. Mahmoud Khalil, Rumeysa Ozturk, shoving people in a fucking prison because they criticize Israel or wrote an op-ed that criticized Israel. They were openly bragging about rounding people up and deporting them for making jokes about Charlie Kirk. Donald Trump sues the media when they write articles about him he doesn't like. And you're going to say Democrats are authoritarian? Democrats are authoritarian. There's, what, over 100,000 flock cameras now in this country under Donald Trump, the Republican president? And you're going to talk about Democrats being authoritarian? Oh, my days. Oh, my word.
I'm not going to support those individuals.
So, but the authoritarian practices today, you're willing to look past.
Yeah, and also, let's remember, one more time.
First of all, when these people come out and go, Tim's a bootlicker for defending us, I'm like, no, you misunderstand. It's my boots.
That is like the textbook definition of authoritarianism. You are basically tattooing on your forehead that you support authoritarianism, but now you pretend like you're against it for purposes of this debate. It's insane, bro.
So, but the authoritarian practices today, you're willing to look past.
Some of them, yes.
Come on, man.
Oh, no, Tim. Look, here's the deal, bro. I'm like against authoritarianism when the left does it, but when the right does it, I'll overlook it. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Professional Political Pundit. We appreciate your insight. You literally got a reaction from the room.
But the authoritarian practices today, you're willing to look past.
Some of them, yes.
Come on, man. Come on. Like,
do you want me to lie to you and equivocate and pretend that I think politicians are all
I don't
good
want you to
people?
lie to me, and I'm so thankful that you're being honest. And I'm glad these cameras can see that, and I hope your fan base can.
And I'd say this every single night on my show. It is silly that you get people who come on here and try to defend the indefensible.
That's what you just did. Oh, my days. Oh, my word. Guy who defended ICE shooting innocent people in the face. Why are you guys defending the indefensible? That's like your whole job, bro. That's like the only thing you do. That's how you make your money. That's your bread and butter. And also, by the way, he literally doesn't care. R.M. Brown makes fun of this all the time. He's done awesome videos on Tim Pool. Like, he's so phoned it in, he just doesn't care about any of this. Why? Because the political project that he supported has now been exposed as an utter fraud that's destroying this country and ruining everything, and everybody's pissed off about it. And so he's mentally sort of checked out, and he's just going through the motions, covering shit.
Like, sometimes you're a conservative, and you're wrong. Sometimes you're a Democrat, and you're wrong.
Sure.
It's
what in the first grade shit is... You know, sometimes people do good things, bro, and then sometimes people do bad things. And did you know that there's like Democrats and there's Republicans, and then there's also centrists. But like there's Democrats and Republicans, and you could be a Democrat and wrong about stuff, but also right about some stuff. You can be a Republican and wrong about stuff and right about some stuff. Thank you, alien who was just dropped onto this earth from another planet who's desperately trying to sound like a normal human.
It's silly to come here and be like, no matter what the argument is, I have to tribalistically defend something that's stupid.
That's literally what you do. That is your whole show. Your whole show is pretending like you're a reasonable guy, but oh, would you look at that? The right is correct about everything and the left is wrong about everything. Okay, here we go. Now we have, shout out to this guy, bro. Everybody shout out to this guy because he's done this a number of different times in these, what's his name? Do you guys know his name? Put his name in the comment section below, but he's done this a number of times in these like lefties versus right-winger Jubilee things where he just like runs circles around them and embarrasses them. But here we go. So let's start with this clip.
Right-wing violence is way more proliferate in this country than left-wing violence.
That's not meaningful to a voter. Let me explain. The Republican Party rejects neo-Nazism, correct?
No, Donald Trump invited Nick Fuentes to have dinner with him.
Yeah, and also, stand back and stand by, Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by. David Duke, I don't even know who David Duke is. Of course he fucking knew who David Duke was.
Yeah, West.
So tell me one politician who went out and campaigned for the neo-Nazi vote.
I'm blanking on his name, but Gozar. And
that's true. Paul Gosar, that's true. Man, he pulled that. Bro, shout out to him. That wasn't even in my mind, but he was able to pull that bitch right up.
In Arizona.
View in this country.
Well, we could talk about Gozar. We could talk about Matt Gaetz. We could talk about...
Matt Gaetz is not endorsing neo-Nazism. And Donald Trump said...
Are you kidding me?
Nazis should be condemned entirely.
No, he is literally partnering with the America First movement. He was
America First and neo-Nazism are totally different.
Bro, so you don't think do you think Nick Fuentes is a neo-Nazi? I forgot you've had him on your show. Oh my God, I literally forget.
I wouldn't describe Nick Fuentes as a neo-Nazi.
You don't think that Nick Fuentes celebrating Adolf Hitler is not neo-Nazi adjacent?
I think you have to be very specific on what your terms are. And so when you go to an American voter and say something like...
This is our moderate, by the way, everybody.
Bro, okay, ready? Thank God I'm covering this because I'm going to give everybody direct Nick Fuentes quotes. Ready? Quote, Hitler was really fucking cool. I admire Hitler. Can I just drop the mic and walk out now? The debate is over. That's fucking neo-Nazi shit. Now, he might try to clean it up, and he's often said this on his show that, like, oh, in order to get more mainstream appeal, I got to clean it up, I got to be more, like, proper in order to break through. But make no mistake about it, he's softening what his actual ideology is. His actual ideology, when he's just, like, you know, letting it rip, he says shit like, quote, Hitler was really fucking cool, I admire Hitler. And here's Tim Pool going, he's not a neo-Nazi. All right, well, let's continue. He's denied the Holocaust. He said... He said, hide your power level and do trickery and deceit to try to break through to the mainstream. Quote, I don't care that much about the Gaza genocide, he said. I'm ambivalent. Quote, bravo, good job, was his reaction to 288 people being sent to a concentration camp in El Salvador and being tortured and raped. He said women shouldn't have the right to vote. Boys and girls should get married as teens. He says he's, quote, against women's rights. Be against women getting educated, ban birth control, ban contraceptives, ban women in the workforce, ban them from voting, ban pornography, ban transgenderism and homosexuality, and sodomy. He says he wants, quote, Catholic Taliban rule for America. He wants to, quote, go back to the Middle Ages. He says, quote, give the death penalty to Jews and atheists and witches. He says, quote, all black people should be ashamed of crimes committed by others of their race. White people are every single bit justified in being racist. No, this is not fascist shit. This is not neo-Nazi shit. He says, quote, democracy is wrong. Quote, I fucking hate the poor. I love the rich. Quote, my favorite, dating women is gay. Having sex with women is gay. Oh my days, Tim, you picked the wrong look at this guy's face. Look at his face. He's like, are you fucking kidding me? Really? This is who I'm debating? Like, what's the point even? Like, what's the point in even engaging with people like this? Tim is just dishonest. He's just a dishonest little weasel. He can't actually engage in the substance, so he just dances around the shit and lies. That's what he does.
Your show. Oh my God, I literally forget.
I wouldn't describe Nick Fuentes as a neo-Nazi.
You don't think that Nick Fuentes celebrating Adolf Hitler is not neo-Nazi adjacent?
I think you have to be very specific on what your terms are. And so when you go to an American voter and say something like...
This is our moderate, by the way, everybody. This is our moderate.
Indeed.
Keep going.
So when you go to a regular American and ask them what is meaningful to them in terms of an election, you don't have Democrats or Republicans endorsing violence. But you also don't have... Charlie Kirk's a good example. He threw out Nick Fuentes. He threw out white identitarians, white nationalists from his events. They were not welcome.
I mean, you absolutely have Republicans endorsing violence in elections. They've explicitly said in polling that they support political violence. And also, they run on, like, the Iran war being great, kidnapping Maduro being great, stealing their shit being great. They run on the ICE Gestapo thugs assaulting innocent people. Like, yes, they are pro-violent. The right-wing movement in this country is pro-violence.
Welcome. That's mainstream. You don't have riots coming from the Republican Party on the right, although you do have January 6th and things like that. When you take...
Oh, yeah, that little exception. That little thing. You don't have riots, except for that one big one where they tried to, like, overturn a free and fair election and keep their fat pedophile war criminal president in power illegally. But outside of that one that we get a mulligan on, obviously, outside of that, we don't have many riots, bro. All right, let's do this one now. Yes, this is the one where Tim Pool storms out. He rage quits. He has an epic crash out and rage quits because he's correctly called out. Here we go.
The U.S. academics describe the period that we're in as civil strife, meaning there's a criteria of death that has occurred for political reasons over the past year or years, for which the next phase would be civil war. However, we'll make my point, tracking towards it, I've not said that it will happen, although there have been many people who have said that we are in a cold civil war or some kind of cultural civil war. I always caveat, because I don't actually have a strong prediction.
First of all, you do have a strong prediction if you've been saying this since 2019. There's 42, people can look this up, there's 42 of your titles that have the word civil war in it.
Correct.
With big fonts on the front.
They sure do.
So why is that? It's sensationalist. It's easy to get clicks on that. There's a reason why you say it, because it's very profitable for your business.
Not necessarily. But we have 1,600 episodes of just IRL.
There comes a point where people stop taking your predictions seriously.
Are you going to make an argument, or are you mad at me?
I'm not mad at you.
Okay, then let's make an argument about whether or not we are tracking. No. If you're making an argument, you don't like my thumbnails, or you say my name over and over again.
I'm saying that you say bullshit in order to get money. But what I really think is
let me ask you a question.
Predictions.
Let me ask you a question you can't
answer. I will
answer.
agree with you that there's increased polarization. I would attribute a lot of that to people being specifically online.
Let me ask.
There's a lot less interaction with people that are in different camps.
Let me ask you a question.
You're going to sit here and tell me that we're way more polarized than fucking Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr, who like shot each other with their disagreements? You're going to tell me that Andrew Jackson, who's the sitting president,
do you want a conversation, or are you going to be angry? Why was Aaron Danielson shot in the chest twice?
Sorry?
Why was Aaron Danielson shot in the chest twice?
I'm not disagreeing that political violence is taking place in question.
You say Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr, but then when I ask you a question about an assassination, you defer.
You can say that there's a civil war every fucking year, and it doesn't happen.
I never said there was.
It just hasn't happened yet.
Let me ask you a question.
Or if it does happen, you say, see, I've had it all
Let me ask you a question.
You're the same thing as like the Christian rapture people who say that the rapture's coming every fucking year, and when it doesn't happen,
do you want a soapbox? Do you want me to get you a soapbox?
It's really easy. It's really easy to do what you do. It's really easy to do what you do. Like, you literally just say, Civil War is happening next year. Civil War is happening next year. It's coming. Make sure you subscribe to Timcast. Continue to watch my videos, please. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. It's easy to do what you do, bro.
He's got a beanie on. He put a beanie on. Oh, my days. You know what's so funny about this particular exchange? I don't know why Tim wouldn't just say, yeah, of course I use clickbait. Like, everybody... Bro, I use clickbait on this show, but the reason I do it is so that I hook you in to get into the video, to get the substance, to get the information, to get the education. I try to make it entertaining, of course. I try to make it fun, of course. But, like, everybody uses, like, sensationalist titles and whatnot. So he could have just been like, yeah, you're right. But the reason I do that is to hook people to get them in, to give my broader message. But he couldn't even do that. He couldn't even do that, and so he fucking crashed out and rage quit, and it's too perfect that the thing that was like the least substantive and the least important part of the debate and discussion is the thing that made him crash out and made him leave, which just tells me that, like, you know, totally unserious guy. Again, massive strategic misstep on Tim Pool's part to do this. The problem that the right is running into with these Jubilee debates is that all of these, like, big name or formerly big name right-wing political commentators, they don't really believe in anything. They don't have an ideology. They don't have a philosophy. There's nothing really undergirding all of their political opinions. They're very, like, go with the flow and blow with the wind type people. And so at a time when everything they stood for is up in flames, like, what do? They're desperately grasping for continued relevance, but in the process, making it worse for themselves, digging themselves a deeper hole, especially because, and let's keep it real about this, a lot of these left-wing people who Jubilee invites on to do these debate things, they know what they're talking about. They've done some research. They know numbers. They know facts. Then when they get a moment to shine, like, it is blood sport debate bro culture personified. And Dave Rubin's not fucking ready for that. Tim Pool's not fucking ready for that shit. And meanwhile, you go on these, you do one of these things with the right-wing commentators, and they're a fucking mess. Sam Cedar ran circles around everybody who stepped up to him. Mehdi Hassan ran circles around all the fascists who stepped up to him. There's just an imbalance in the seriousness and the intellect of the right-wingers who come on the show versus the left-wingers who come on the show. And it really showed here. So Tim Pool immediately collapsed and fell apart. And too perfect. It's exactly what I would have predicted.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.